RingCentral's AI receptionist uses voice AI to answer on the first ring, so you'll never miss a call again. In just a few minutes, you can personalize your own AI receptionist to answer questions, route calls, schedule appointments, and even send texts in multiple languages. Plus, it's easy to scale. Create unlimited AI receptionists across any phone system. It's all powered by one reliable platform for effortless AI communications. See for yourself at ringcentral.com. RingCentral, voice of your business.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode with the Crime and Coffee Couple. My name's Allison.
And my name's Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, good looking. What you got cooking? How about cooking something up for me?
We are in our new set recording the YouTube video this week. And, high five here.
Yeah.
That was so awkward.
Coming at you. I just gave her a high five.
And we're going to be getting a couple more cameras so that Mike can edit the videos to be a little bit more interesting, maybe.
Yep, our patrons and subscribers, they already got a little taste of it. Not via video, but what I was just saying, I can reach out and touch you and just say, hey, buddy, how are you?
Not quite sure how I feel about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the touching will be less and less as we go on, just like it is in real marriage. But
are you not attracted to me anymore?
I am. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is fun. This is fun. A new little thing going on. You might see some different camera angles. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just going to make things more interesting.
And I was telling our bonus listeners, patrons, Apple subscribers, that it was actually Mike's idea to have this new look, which he wanted to feel more like a coffee shop experience.
I mean, we are the Crime and Coffee Couple, so I want to give you guys a little background on what we do. Sometimes I'm our branding is the Crime and Coffee Couple, yet we don't talk about coffee very often. Not that we have to. I don't want to force anything, but we both love coffee, but it's got to feel like a little coffee shop vibe. And I was like, well, believe it or not, I was talking to my buddy, artificial intelligence, AI.
God, this is disturbing, people. I think he's developing a relationship with these AI bots.
I changed it to a man's voice so you don't feel like that.
Oh, it's not even that. I don't know if you believe that this is your friend.
No, well.
You were sitting on the patio with me talking to this thing about our son's sprained ankle, and the conversation was far more in-depth than it ever needed to be.
It's cool because it's like a picture. You just have access to any kind of expert in anything, literally anything. So everybody's like, yeah, well, that's already what Google is, which, yeah, you have a point there, but you got to sit there and look at which article is the right thing. This has already read every single article there is. And so therefore it's kind of an expert in anything. So you can talk to a doctor, you can upload your x-rays and they'll be like, yeah, it looks like there's a fracture there on the clavicle. It's like, oh my gosh, it's, you not just doctors, but anything, air conditioning stuff or fixing a car, whatever. It's you could just talk to it, be like, yeah, so my car's making this noise, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And it'll talk you through it.
I mean, obviously you still need experts. It can't diagnose cancer or anything like that.
Yeah. Oh, how do you diagnose cancer?
Through scopes and biopsies and x-rays and CAT scans and MRIs and PET scans.
So this is all ones and zeros, right?
Okay.
This is all information. Okay, so I've got this whole thing. I think it's coming for a lot of doctors' jobs because a lot of my doctor, for instance, I think that she's close to useless. I come in there, usually tell her, and then you're asking, Mike, why do you go to the same doctor? That's actually a great question, listener. I'm not sure. I should switch them. But I come in there and I'm like, okay, it looks like these levels went up and down and this level's good. So I'm going to suggest I come off of this medication and I want to go on this one or reduce this and I'm going to have this supplement instead. And she's like, all right, that sounds good. And
yeah,
okay.
she seems particularly useless.
Yeah, and I'm not telling her what to do, but I'm like, what do you think about that, doc? She's like, yeah,
that's
seems
a
like
good
a good
idea.
Plan. I'm like, okay, well, enjoy my $150 or whatever my insurance company pays you, and then I'm going to come back in 6 months and we'll do the same thing.
So silly.
Yeah, but anyways, I was talking to it just some ideating. I was just like, so what did these people do to become really big and successful? And just kind of coming back and forth. I'm like, what can I do for our set? And they're like, oh, what's unique about you? And it kind of just got me thinking what's unique about us is doing a little chat here. We like to, lighten things up before we get into these horrible, terrible stories. And, just to have everybody get to know us. And because you guys are all our friends, regardless, whether you like it or not, you're our buddies. So
yeah. And obviously there's podcasts out there that they just jump straight into the story and that's fine. There's no shade there. No. We just like to have a little bit of a more personal touch, kind of get to know who we are as people. Don't touch me.
Well, you said personal touch.
But anyway, in other news, I wanted to share a recipe on this episode that Mike had made for me this week. I normally like to do pre-made breakfasts and lunches for the week because the week is just friggin' bonkers, and anything I can do to make it a little bit easier, I'm going to do. And it also keeps me on track with eating healthier because I'm not just eating on the fly. So this week, you put together my breakfast because I was busy doing lunches.
Yeah, that's what I do.
And it was a peanut butter and jelly overnight oats, and it's really good. Very good. I didn't sweeten it, or you didn't put honey in it. You sweetened it with Truvia just to kind of save some calories there.
And jelly.
Well, right. And jelly sweetened it too. But it's just really delicious. So we'll share that. And then I had gotten these Amazon glass meal prep container bowls that are really nice.
We have the coolest container bowls. Like, you know how like you just develop like a Tupperware collection after a while and you just kind of keep on throwing all the Tupperware in and it's like it becomes a mishmash of crap. Like every once in a while we'll throw all that crap away and get some new ones. But like this is like nice glass stuff. It's like, you know, it kind of feels hefty. It's nice.
Yeah. And we totally streamline that because I can't do where's the lid for this one? It's all streamlined.
And also I hate microwaving plastic because it's so bad for you.
I hear you. So the glass is nice. And it also can transfer straight to the oven in some cases. I don't know about these that I'm doing. They're freezer safe and dishwasher safe. I don't think they're oven safe, but some of ours are. So it's kind of nice. You could take some leftovers and put it straight to the oven.
Yeah, go check them out. And then I think we get like a tiny commission if you guys buy it.
So that's my Amazon addiction because we haven't done that in a while because sometimes I just plain old forget.
Yeah, but you're definitely using Amazon. We know that much. But other things, so Allison mentioned she puts together meals. I've been cooking a lot more lately, a lot of the dinners. And Allison, what she usually does, she gets the like recipe together and she's like, I work from home usually. So a lot of times I'm home like, at 5 o'clock working away on stuff. She's like, you get the dinner started? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So I come to cook the latest one and it's some cashew chicken thing, right? So you're like,
yes.
All right, the chicken's in the fridge and this and whatever. And I'm like, all the chicken? And she's like, yep. And it's like 3 packages of big chicken breasts. I was like, whoa, that's a lot of chicken.
That's a lot of chicken. But the problem is that I do online grocery shopping. So a lot of the times I can't see how much it actually is.
That's the downside.
I've gotten packages of rice that I think are going to be huge and they're tiny. It's like an individual size. I'm like, what in the hell is this?
Or like a bag of chips for a party and it's like, 2 people.
Right.
It's like, it's crazy. But
so Mike's like, this is a lot of chicken.
And she's like, yeah, well, we'll have leftovers and stuff. It'll be for the week and you can have some for lunch. I'm like, all right, cool. So I start cutting them up and I'm just cutting them and cutting them and cutting them and cutting them. Oh, and by the way, if you are a person that thinks cutting chicken, like raw chicken sucks, just get a sharper knife. Like I didn't know that until like 20 years ago and it's changed my life.
Well, not necessarily get a sharper knife.
Sharpen your knife.
Sharpen your knife. Yeah. And so I'm out on the patio doing research and we have all the doors open because it's beautiful. And Mike's in the kitchen. He's like, are you sure? He goes, this is more cooked chicken I've ever cooked in my entire life.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was supposed to take, it's a super quick like stir fry and it just ended up taking me forever because I had to do like each layer because if you put it all in together, it like boils basically and it's kind of gross. I like to get a little brown on my chicken. So we ended up with like if you're watching the video, like a Tupperware about, I don't know, like as big as the circumference of my waist, I would say, which is like, 40 inches or whatever.
Filled to the tip top.
Yeah, and it was deep too. So like we had a whole meal to feed 4 and this whole friggin' Tupperware was just filled to the brim. Like you had to squish it down, maybe throw some away.
I was like, wow, that you were not lying.
If we had like a homeless encampment here, it would be very useful. Just give them like half of it.
Absolutely.
It was delicious.
But you've been eating it constantly. We had it for dinner twice and then you've been having it for lunch consistently. So
yeah,
you're probably never going to want to look at cashew chicken again.
I'm going to have to do cashew chicken breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack. And the nice thing about it, you can just add an egg in the morning. It becomes an easy breakfast. Just crack it over just so you don't feel so bad about yourself.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And then if you're a fan of The White Lotus, the season 3 is out. So
yeah, you don't watch it with me. You're watching it on your own.
Well, we're not together a whole lot because your work has been keeping you out in the evenings.
Not too much.
All last week you were gone.
Oh, yeah. 1 week. Sorry, guys.
So it's on Max, but it's so good. So I caught up with the new season episodes. I'm like, I got to go back and watch season 2. It's such a good show. I'm obsessed with it.
White Lotus, one of the best shows ever made. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's very good. But anyway, shall we get into this?
Let's do it.
All right. So as I always say, I should stop saying this, but this is a terribly sad case and it does involve a child and you will want to rip your hair out by the time I am done with this episode.
You shouldn't stop saying it because it's unique to each one of these individuals and they're all horrible.
This was beyond frustrating and sad and tragic. So typically, a mother's intuition to protect and care for their children is ingrained and instinctual, ready to kick in and prioritize their child's safety above all else, including their own lives. And you think about even animals have this instinct.
Oh, yeah. You never want to be around a mama bear and her cubs or any of those.
Right. So a mother might not even realize just how strong it is until the moment arrives. And when it does, she would likely move mountains or stand in front of a freight train in order to keep her child safe. A mother's love and care can be raw, relentless, and dang near unstoppable. But sadly, this isn't always the case. When a mother harms her child, it goes against every primal instinct, which is why it can be so incredibly jarring to hear. And when it happens, it's likely entangled in extreme circumstances, perhaps deep psychological breaks, drug use, substance abuse, who knows?
Mental illness, absolutely.
Right. So I think I forgot to say what the name of this episode was. So this is The Death of Olivia Gant. So in 2017, after a 7-year-old little girl spent the majority of her short life in and out of the hospital, forced to undergo invasive, painful surgeries, placement of feeding tubes and IV lines for nutrition, her mother, this is Kelly Gant, she is also in some sources known as Kelly Turner, made the decision to place her daughter on hospice care. And again, I will remind you, she was only 7. Yeah. So 3 weeks after her IV nutrition was removed, Olivia Gant sadly passed away, with her cause of death being listed as intestinal failure. So many were obviously saddened at the loss of this precious young child. And most would believe that this was the end of the tragic story. It was just an unfortunate thing that happened. She was sick. She died.
This mom's going to have to go on forever, losing her daughter. Everybody's sad.
Right. And that is, though, until within a year of Olivia's death, Kelly was suddenly now back in the hospital. And this time, it was with her oldest daughter. And she explained that her daughter was suffering from bone pain, likely related to a cancer that she had previously overcome. So Kelly told the physicians that she suspected that the cancer had come back. However, unlike in Olivia's case, this time the doctor was very suspicious.
Do you have the name of this kid, or is it withheld?
They do not name.
And how old is the?
Older than Olivia.
Okay.
So the doctor is very suspicious. So with this, he began to dig deeper. And as they took a closer look, they began to unravel a horrendous web of lies that ultimately caused a young girl to die.
Well, this is going to suck.
So Olivia Gant was born on June 21st, 2010 in Pasadena, Texas, to parents Jeff and Kelly Gant. She did have 2 older sisters. The couple had a very tumultuous relationship, and after their divorce, Kelly relocated with her 3 girls to Littleton, Colorado, thus removing them from under the watchful eye of their father. So Olivia was exceptionally close with her step-grandfather. This is Lonnie Gautreaux, and he and his wife often visited their 3 grandchildren, just basically ate up time spent with them. And they watched movies together, and Lonnie recalls Olivia as just a absolutely sweet and loving child who loved to do typical things that children like. She would love to play with her dolls.
Real quick, how was Kelly allowed to move her kids away in a state?
I don't know. They didn't say anything about the custody situation.
Okay.
So beginning in 2013, when Olivia was only 2 years old, Kelly first presented to the hospital. So this is where it all started, when she was 2 years old in 2013. So she comes to the hospital with her young daughter due to concerns of what she said was a developmental delay. And Olivia was ultimately at some point in time diagnosed with autism. So Kelly now returned in January of 2013, probably shortly thereafter, this time regarding constipation issues. And she elaborated to the doctor that Olivia was unable to properly digest food, something that had been an issue since she was only an infant. So during her visit, the doctor noted that Olivia was right within her normal growth range, which would go against what her mom is saying, because I am a clinical dietitian. I work in a hospital. I don't work with pediatrics, but you see things, and I catch suspicious things where I'm like, this person is saying this, but it just doesn't seem right. Because if there are digestive issues, you would expect that her growth would be delayed.
Yep.
And that wasn't the case. So on a follow-up visit, this time it was Kelly saying that it was for constipation issues. This happened in April of 2013. The doctor indicated that Olivia was displaying stool withholding behaviors, which is very normal in children of her age. You know, a child oftentimes doesn't want to stop what they're doing to go use the restroom. Our son would do this. So he would hold it until now we're faced with an issue.
Yep.
However, it wasn't long before Kelly was once again back in the ER with Olivia, each time saying that her daughter was having issues with eating and properly digesting food. 4 years after her illness began, Olivia was taken into surgery, where doctors created an ileostomy. Are you familiar with what that is, Mike?
No.
So an ileostomy is basically rerouting the small intestine through an opening or stoma to a bag that attaches to the outside of a person's abdomen. So then they're emptying the stool through the bag rather than as we would, naturally.
So colostomy bag?
It's not a colostomy. A colostomy is the colon. Ileostomy is the ileum or small intestine.
Got it.
So after her surgery, Olivia seemed to be doing better and her constipation issues resolved. So with this, she was able to start pre-K. She moved on to kindergarten at Columbine Hills Elementary School, where her classmates and her teachers absolutely adored this little child. And soon Kelly was back at the hospital yet again with Olivia, reporting that yes, some of her daughter's symptoms had improved since surgery, but she was still continuing to struggle with digestive issues. So over the course of 5 years, with Olivia being 2 to 7 years old, she had been to the hospital more than 1,000 times.
That's insane. How do you afford that? And then
I'll tell you how she afforded it.
Good.
So doctors would later admit that all of the symptoms that Olivia suffered from, as well as Olivia's medical history, it all came from Kelly. That is red flag number one.
Well, you mentioned the surgery, and it's like there's really nothing besides what the mother was saying, right?
Maddening. So again, I hate to repeat myself. I do work in a hospital. I read operative reports, EGDs, which is a scope that goes through your mouth down to your stomach, colonoscopies. You can see if a portion of the bowel or esophagus or stomach, et cetera, is damaged or diseased. Yeah. Oftentimes, they'll even do like an exploratory surgery just to assess things. Oh, we removed the diseased portion of the person's bowel. Mm-hmm. There was
none of that here.
None of that here. So during these visits, gastroenterologists inserted feeding tubes for enteral nutrition after Kelly maintained that Olivia wasn't able to digest her food properly. It wasn't long before Kelly claimed that Olivia was no longer able to tolerate her tube feedings. This is what I do in the hospital. I follow patients who are on tube feedings and IV nutrition, and you have to trust what a patient is telling you. I am like a freaking private detective when I'm having these conversations. And it's like, but what do you mean? And you just have to keep digging and digging and digging. And sometimes you're like, that patient was absolutely full of crap.
Yep.
But again, I don't work with pediatrics. So I'm talking to the person and they're speaking for themselves. It's much trickier when you're dealing with a child. So, like I said, it wasn't long before she said she's not tolerating her tube feedings. And with this, she was now switched to IV nutrition, which is known as total parenteral nutrition or TPN. And this requires a central venous catheter for infusion into a large vein because of the dextrose concentration. If you inserted it into a peripheral vein, it would burn out your vein.
So sugar. It's basically pumping sugar into the
It's
big
everything
vein.
you need. In our hospital, we do dextrose and amino acids or protein in one bag, and then fat hangs in the second bag.
So it needs a big vein to get in.
Right, and it's the dextrose that would burn it out. So throughout her hospitalizations, Olivia was also prescribed strong narcotic pain medications as well as the anti-seizure drug Keppra, despite the fact that not one single healthcare worker had ever witnessed Olivia having a seizure. Kelly told healthcare workers that her daughter's seizures were persistent. So it sounds like everyone is just going off of what Kelly is saying. You will come to learn that there were some questions being had, but nobody escalated it to the authorities. It never left the hospital.
And then she's been there so many times, she becomes known. So it's just like, you get used to it. It's a habit. They're like, okay, well, they're back again. This poor kid is so sick.
We call them frequent flyers.
Yeah.
So because Olivia spent so much time in the hospital, like you just said, she developed a connection with the staff who came to know her as Princess, since she often preferred to wear her princess gowns rather than the standard hospital gowns. And she was precious. It's just like, how could you not love her? So all the nurses probably fell in love with her.
Our little daughter used to wear her little princess dresses around the house all the time. It was so cute. Just like a different one every day. It was
adorable. So when she wasn't in the hospital, Olivia loved playing with her sisters and just being a typical child who loved to play games with her iPad. She loved to watch her favorite DVDs, use her imagination. And those that knew Olivia absolutely adored her as she was a precious little girl. She talked nonstop. She had an amazing spirit. And when she was able to eat, she loved going to Dairy Queen. Who the heck doesn't like ice cream?
I know you do, that's for sure.
It's like one of my favorite things.
I go on a run basically every Sunday to go get some ice cream.
Mike,
Yep.
I have a taste for ice cream.
Actually, it's more like it's like 6:30 and I don't have a Dairy Queen in my hand. What's going on here?
What is going on?
Yeah, we got to make a decision.
So her favorite was having a vanilla ice cream cone. She loved to go and visit the zoo to see the lions. She would go to a place called Dinosaur Ridge since she was fascinated with dinosaurs. It's a very typical child. Unfortunately, the bulk of her childhood was spent inside the four walls of a hospital room. So Kelly took to social media where she started a blog. Oftentimes people want this kind of attention. So she started this blog in September of 2011 and eventually documented Olivia's hospital visits and detailed her medical conditions. Her photos depicted the young girl sitting in a wheelchair, maybe propped up in her hospital bed, where she was surrounded with her stuffed animals. She was almost always wearing some sort of Disney outfit rather than the hospital gown.
And it's like so heartbreaking because like everybody wants to rally around this kid, and it's like, oh, did you hear about this poor girl always sick? It's like, come on, yeah, it's a easy thing to get a lot of eyeballs, a lot of clicks on.
100%, because as human beings, we have empathy, and we see a sick child. Of course, it breaks our hearts. So because Olivia had so many visits to the hospital, medical bills were obviously piling up.
Yeah.
So Kelly turned to various charity organizations to help her cover the costs, as well as provide Olivia with special events, gifts, and outings. So with the help of organizations such as Make-A-Wish, Olivia was able to fulfill her bucket list as Kelly indicated that her daughter was terminally ill. So Kelly also started a GoFundMe page on July 27th, 2015. It ended up raising more than $22,270. This was to help offset the costs of what wasn't being covered under Medicaid. And, you know, again, as a empathetic human being, you see somebody struggling, what is your instinct?
Help. Yeah,
to want to help.
Whatever you can.
Right. So you're like, what's $50 to us? Of course we'll give it. It's going to help this child. And that's what was happening here.
Time and time again. And it's, for those outside of America, everything here healthcare-wise is super expensive. Even though we have insurance, like you step into an ER, like you are on the hook for like $5,000.
Yeah, and it's always sad to think that if you're dealt with something like cancer, one of your top concerns, of course, is beyond living, is how am I going to afford this?
In the richest nation ever in the world.
Right. It's kind of insane, really. So Olivia was also receiving trial medications that were not approved by the FDA for those under age 18. And with that, it was out-of-pocket expenses. So during one of Olivia's birthdays, there was a $11,000 Bat Princess birthday party thrown for her in her honor at the Hyatt Regency Denver. And this included a limo ride, costumes, balloons, and music. And don't get me wrong, I am so happy that Olivia was able to experience this joy in her life.
Absolutely.
Because that little child deserved it.
As far as Olivia is concerned, she's very sick.
Of course. So the party had combined theme of Batman and Disney, hence the Bat Princess party. So this was all captured on local TV stations. So she was given the opportunity to pretend to be a police officer as well as a firefighter for the day, and she just had the best time. And for that, I am grateful for her.
Yeah.
So over the years, Olivia's case went on to draw national attention because of the nature of it. How sad is it that this child from 2 to 7 years old is just basically living in a healthcare facility?
Heart-wrenching.
So Kelly told doctors that she wanted to implement a do not resuscitate or DNR order for 7-year-old Olivia. She expressed that she wanted her daughter's TPN or IV nutrition to be stopped, arguing that Olivia's quality of life had gotten so bad. So at the time, Olivia had only been receiving about 1/3 of her nutrition through her TPN, which right off the bat, when I read that, what the hell? Because I work alongside pharmacists to make these TPN recommendations.
This is what I hear about all day long, all the time.
Right. So my number one goal is to get them to their goal rate in order to meet 100% of their estimated nutritional needs. So the fact that she was only receiving 1/3 of her nutrition is beyond insane. So now I'm digging to see why in the hell would that be the case. And it's just absurd. So she tells the doctor that Olivia was rejecting her TPN, despite the fact that the doctor explained that this doesn't happen. That doesn't exist.
Right.
And several doctors urged Kelly to reduce her dependency on the TPN and allow her daughter to eat, but she refused, saying, "We've already tried that." So doctors later described Kelly as a high-maintenance mother who was not afraid of surgery. And at this point, the doctors refused to sign the paperwork for this DNR, fully aware that had they removed the IV nutrition, Olivia would naturally die because now she would have no nutrition.
But is she like unconscious?
No,
Olivia?
not at all.
So why doesn't she say like I'm hungry? Like is she unable to eat? Oh my God.
Yes. So Kelly,
what are these like healthcare workers doing?
I went, and I'm not going to name any names, but
you should.
I went to their pages, and they have really high stars because I was telling my coworkers about this case. They are actively continuing to practice.
You should reach out to them. That'd be interesting.
Well, I'm just not going to.
Yeah, you don't want to ruffle feathers.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. But Kelly was irate and accused the healthcare team of denying her wishes. She was relentless and continued to pursue the request. So now she's doctor shopping, and she's requesting different doctors to care for Olivia. And this doctor consented to signing the appropriate paperwork.
Which one?
I know it's all in the arrest affidavit or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So with the DNR order signed, Olivia's nutrition was also stopped and she was officially placed under hospice care. So throughout this time, Kelly posted photos and videos to social media. So one was on their way to hospice, and you were asking, was Olivia unconscious? Hell to the no, she wasn't unconscious. She was singing Hakuna Matata.
She's 7 years old.
Yes, and it was August 2nd, 2017. In the video, Olivia was wearing purple pajamas and playing with her tablet, her iPad, as she sang Hakuna Matata. And during this time in hospice, the only nutrition that she was receiving was negligent, nothing, minimal amount from a melted popsicle that would be rubbed across her lips with a sponge. And slowly and steadily, Olivia continued to starve while her large doses of prescribed medications continued to offer her comfort, because that's what hospice is.
Yeah, I never honestly even wrapped my mind around it. Like, it's so sick how we like kill off our old people. Like this is how it is. I mean, I know that Olivia's not old here, but at a hospice, like a lot of times it's just they die of starvation.
Right.
Like,
but at the same time, it's also compassionate because a person is suffering and you giving them nutrition is only extending the suffering. I had a 95-year-old patient last week who failed their video swallow study, meaning that they were aspirating their food. They were not safe to eat by mouth. This person was terminal. He was 90-something years old. There were many, many other things wrong with him. And I fully supported the family and saying no feeding tube.
Yeah, because that's the only option we have. My argument is that we need another option because we do it for dogs, you know, give them a shot and let them go off into the sunset.
Well, what they do at hospice is they make sure you are given all the proper medications, such as morphine, so that you're comfortable and you don't really know what's happening.
In other words, they drug the hell out of you so you have no idea what's going on and you starve to death. That's what it is.
I mean, that is what it is.
Like it sounds so barbaric, but that's what we do to human beings.
It is interesting to think that we have a more compassionate way to end an animal's life than we do a human's.
So at this point, Olivia is so drugged up because her mom's making sure she's getting all these drugs. Yeah, but she was
also lucid.
Okay.
So when Lonnie visited his granddaughter, he described her, like I just said, as lucid. And during his visit, Olivia complained that she was incredibly hungry.
Lonnie is Kelly's dad?
It is her step-grandfather.
Oh, okay.
So, yes. So, and, you know, Lonnie is devastated. He's hearing his 7-year-old granddaughter say, "I'm hungry," but there's really not much he could do about it. And he was devastated knowing that it was only a matter of time before his sweet granddaughter, would die.
Oh, my God.
And this time was likely going to be very soon.
All he can do now is look back and be like, I should have fed her. This is like insane. You're watching your daughter, you know, you think you're doing the best and like letting her go on so she can get out of her pain. But
of course,
this story sucks so bad.
If your daughter is telling you that this is a situation and that she has intestinal failure, of course you're going to listen to her, because what kind of monster would make this up?
Yeah.
So tragically, on August 20th, 2017, Olivia Gant died after 19 days in hospice without any nutrition. Her official cause of death was listed as intestinal failure, and her death certificate also listed that she suffered from autism as well as seizure disorder. Sweet Olivia had been in and out of the hospital so many years of her young life, forced to undergo painful surgeries and procedures. She was unable to eat the typical foods that children love, such as her beloved vanilla ice cream cone or birthday cake, after undergoing feeding tube and IV line placements for enteral and parenteral nutrition. According to Kelly, her daughter had been terminally ill, and despite their devastation after Olivia's passing, Olivia's extended family was, in a way prepared for her death because she was sent to hospice. They knew what was to come. It was a horrible outcome, but they knew it was to come. So as the family tried to move forward with the gaping loss of Olivia in their lives, within a year of her death, Kelly was suddenly back at the hospital.
This reminds me so much of Gypsy Rose.
Yep.
And like just the mom that, if you're not familiar with it, we have it in our back catalog and you can get it anywhere. But it's just like the mom goes out of her way to make her kids sick and like talks them into them being sick. And then before you know it, the kids just like assumes that they're sick their whole life. And
well,
it's like,
of course, we look to our parents with trust.
Yeah.
What would you think your parent was doing?
I'm not saying the kid is dumb or anything.
Of course not.
They're raised like that and they assume it's right because that's how they're raised. It's horrible. This person sucks. Something
Horrible.
terrible. I'm putting this one in the same desert or in the same like boiling pot as all these like rapists and stuff. This is terrible.
I hate the word hate. I really do. And I use it sparingly, but I hate this freaking woman like poison.
Yeah.
That's what my grandma used to say. I hate her like poison.
She needs poison.
She's a monster.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret, with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
RingCentral's AI receptionist uses voice AI to answer on the first ring, so you'll never miss a call again. In just a few minutes, you can personalize your own AI receptionist to answer questions, route calls, schedule appointments, and even send texts in multiple languages. Plus, it's easy to scale. Create unlimited AI receptionists across any phone system. It's all powered by one reliable platform for effortless AI communications. See for yourself at ringcentral.com. RingCentral, voice of your business.
So as the family is just trying to move forward, all of a sudden, here she is yet again, now with her oldest daughter. And like I had said in the beginning of the episode, she was telling the doctors that her daughter was experiencing bone pain, and she suspected that the cancer she had previously beat was yet again back again.
Now, it was confirmed she had cancer before?
Oh, you'll see. So she's explaining that while they were living in Texas, so she's in Colorado now. So she's telling this to Colorado doctors. Oh, while we were living in Texas, yes, my daughter had cancer. She was treated with chemo as well as radiation.
She was so young, she doesn't remember.
Between ages 2 and 5, this happened.
Yeah. How convenient.
So this time, the doctor was immediately suspicious of Kelly's story. And as he began to examine her eldest daughter, something just didn't feel right to this doctor. It was unusual that one of Kelly's young daughters had been so ill and now another was sick again. Does this happen? Do families experience grief like this and tragedy? It's like, does lightning strike twice in the same spot?
Yep.
Sometimes it does. But it just didn't sit right with this doctor.
Good.
So the doctor, rightly so, questioned Kelly's reports of her daughter's cancer history and decided to investigate further, rather than doing what was done in Olivia's case and just taking her words as true. With this, the doctor also began mulling about the idea that maybe Kelly had been playing a role in Olivia's supposed illness and terminal condition. Maybe now with Olivia gone, Kelly was moving on and orchestrating her older daughter's illness as well. So this is all going on in the doctor's mind. So when the doctor went on to contact staff in Texas, they confirmed exactly what this doctor suspected, that this young girl had never had cancer. She had never been treated with chemo or radiation.
Good job, Doc.
So as they did more research, they came across blogs and Facebook posts where Kelly had detailed all of the events of what Olivia was going through. And these medical conditions they were reading about online did not match what they had in their black and white medical records. This included Olivia having suffered from lymphoma. This wasn't true. So with this, hospital staff immediately contacted social services to report Kelly, something that should have been done in Olivia's case.
Yeah, better late than never.
Right. So knowing what this woman was capable of, medical professionals began taking a closer look at Olivia's medical history. And this included, like I said, 5 years of ongoing treatments, procedures, surgeries, and medications. This poor girl had slowly starved to death in hospice. And what was once seen as a completely tragic death was now being investigated as potential Munchausen syndrome by proxy.
Boom.
So Munchausen syndrome by proxy, or MSP is what I'll refer to it, is also known as fictitious illness by proxy. It is a mental illness, and it is a form of child abuse where a caregiver of a child makes up fake symptoms or causes real symptoms in order to make it look as if the child is ill. Now, why would you do such a thing? To get sympathy and attention. That's really what it's all about.
Yeah, and in this day and age, it's really easy to do that. And because, like you said, humans are pathetic and they latch onto a story that's super sad, just like we do all these stories. And, you know, you have a human side, you're emotional. It's like, this is really, really sad. But these people feed off of it for all the wrong reasons, just like that's exactly what Gypsy Rose went through, Munchausen by proxy.
Yes. So it's most commonly seen in mothers with children under the age of 6, because of course, as a child gets older, they can say, no, that didn't happen.
Right.
So they prey on the young and the more vulnerable. So it's unknown what causes MSP, but in some cases, the person was abused as a child or has a history of Munchausen syndrome, which is faking their own illness. So in some cases of MSP, the abuser will go on to great lengths in order to convince others of their child's illness. This could include things such as adding blood to their child's urine or stool. We once had a pulmonologist at my hospital call out a patient for putting vials of blood in his sputum or spit because he wanted the doctors to believe that he had some sort of lung bleed. And the doctor's like, no, we did a scope and there was nothing, and your labs also are completely normal. So he said in his medical record, I believe this patient is suffering from Munchausen's.
Wow, crazy.
Which is very scary. Like it kind of rattles me to the core because there's something very deep and psychological happening that would make somebody, like none of us want to be sick.
No.
Who the hell wants to be in a hospital?
Well, unless they can get like disability or something, just not work.
Right.
Whatever.
Oftentimes it's for the attention.
Yeah.
So they're oftentimes withholding food so the child becomes weak and frail, thus having the appearance of being ill. So they may falsely concoct medical records, fake labs, even infect their IV line to make the child legitimately ill. And I did mention that Olivia had her IV line and it was frequently infected. Yeah. Lord knows what this woman was doing.
Like rubbing dirt on it or whatever.
They may give their kid a medicine or a substance that will cause them to have true effects of vomiting, diarrhea, etc. In many cases, the caretaker has worked within the medical field, so they know what to say. So they have, the ability to describe the symptoms in great medical detail, and that should be a red flag too. But if you are a nurse or work in the medical field, you would be like, oh, well, that's just normal for them.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you've been through a lot of things, like we have a friend who had her son got really, really sick, so she knows all this, medical information and all this nomenclature. It's
because you're in and out of the hospital so often. So they are extremely involved in, with the healthcare team. They present the appearance of nothing more than an involved, devoted parent. The child is often frequently in and out of the hospital, undergoing many tests and procedures at the caretaker's suggestion. They may be suffering from strange symptoms that are never witnessed by the medical team, only reported by the caretaker. Like in Olivia's case, it was these seizures that were persistent, but no one had ever seen them. So in order to identify MSP, a medical team must first see the clues and be diligent about providing the medical care they believe to be correct rather than what the caretaker is suggesting. Oftentimes, the parent or caretaker is so manipulative that doctors don't suspect any wrongdoing, and then it goes undiagnosed. According to the Cleveland Clinic, approximately 1,000 of the 2.5 million cases of child abuse reported annually may be related to MSP. Warning signs that MSP may be happening include ongoing injuries, illnesses, or hospitalizations, symptoms that just don't fit the disease or the test results, symptoms that are worse when the child is home with the caregiver, a caregiver that is overly involved, refuses to leave the child's side, speaks for the child, and appears to enjoy the attention they are receiving at the hospital. However, on the flip side, you can think about it. If your child is sick and they're young, of course you're going to be naturally very concerned. Of course you're going to refuse to leave their side. So it can be very difficult to spot. Not to mention these people are very crafty and manipulative.
Yeah, so whether it's somebody who's actually trying to be a good mother, like you started this whole story with,
Right.
like, mothers can be very, very protective and they want only the best things for their kids. And they want to make sure, dang it, like, you better make sure that my daughter or son's taken care of here. But at the same time, that's also the manipulative person
Right.
that wants to Munchausen's syndrome by proxy, MSP.
Yeah, which makes it very hard. So had Kelly not brought her older daughter into the hospital, thus alerting their suspicions, she would have likely gotten away with Olivia's death completely unsuspected.
100%.
But she just had to keep going. So authorities went on to exhume Olivia Gant's body from Seven Stones Chatfield Cemetery on November 28th, 2018. This is 15 months after her death. And an autopsy found absolutely no evidence of intestinal failure or other conditions that Kelly claimed her daughter suffered from. This included seizure disorder and a tumor and a buildup of fluid in the cavities deep within her brain that was not present. So with these findings, Olivia's updated cause of death was listed as undetermined.
Starvation by the medical staff and her mother.
Right. So Kelly's two daughters were then removed from her care, and lo and behold, since October of 2018, her older daughter had zero complaints of any kind of bone pain that Kelly brought her into the hospital for, let alone any other illnesses, which further proved that Kelly had been lying. So the names of the two surviving daughters, like I said, have been withheld from the media due to their ages, but they were placed under the care of the relatives so that they were safely away from the mom.
Yeah, get away from that psycho.
And that's another way oftentimes that they'll prove whether or not it's happening. When they do remove the child from the mom, are they suddenly better?
Yep.
And in this case, it was yes. So family members were horrified when they learned that everything Olivia had been put through, which ultimately led to her death, had all been a lie. Can you imagine looking back at 5 years of your grandchild's childhood that led to their death and thinking it was all a lie?
Yeah, and I went along with it and I could have saved
Yep.
them, but
they didn't know.
Yep.
So every moment in the hospital, every surgery, procedure, inability to eat had all been done to a healthy child who had no legitimate digestive diseases. And that's what I just don't understand with all of these procedures and surgeries. How did no doctor say there's nothing wrong with this girl's digestive system? I just don't understand. Olivia's obituary reads, "We lost our little princess Olivia after a long battle to a rare disease at the age of 7. Through her short life and big battles, she taught us that we can be joyful in all things." It's like you killed your daughter and she could have continued to be joyful in all things.
Yep.
So after a year-long investigation, Kelly was arrested in October of 2019 at a Denver area hotel, and she was charged with first-degree murder for Olivia's death, as well as felony charges. Both of her daughters, or both her and both of her two daughters, were insured by Medicaid, and Kelly is accused of fraudulently obtaining approximately $539,000 worth of care from government-funded programs. During the 5 years that Olivia suffered, Kelly took money from fundraising organizations as well as the Heffelblauer Funeral and Cremation Services and Seven Stones Cemetery. These lovely human beings, donated and paid for things to help this family out. And, they were there to support her, as nice people do.
Yep.
So Kelly herself spontaneously brought up Munchausen syndrome by proxy when she was speaking with investigators. She said it first, not them. And she said, that has never been my case, like at all whatsoever.
Why would you talk about it then?
Right?
Yeah.
So she did acknowledge that she lied about her other daughter having cancer, but maintained that none of Olivia's medical conditions had been fabricated.
Whatever. Lying loser.
So in 2021, Lonnie Gautreaux, Olivia's grandfather, alongside Kelly's biological father, filed a civil lawsuit against Children's Hospital Colorado for $25 million as they believe that the medical professionals had not done enough to protect Olivia when Kelly brought her in for her treatments.
Yeah, I mean, you're in there, you're expecting good medical treatment from these professionals because we just talked to, and it didn't even do that on purpose, talking about AI. AI would have sent out a warning, been like, there's none of these triggers are coming up on these reports, so we can't do this, right? Instead, there's humans involved with emotion attached to it and are able to be manipulated through talking and things. It's like, not saying that AI is going to be better than a doctor, but I'm like, this is a situation where just logically it doesn't make any sense. And absolutely, should they be on the hook? Yeah, man, they killed a kid. Like, it's terrible.
So despite the fact that Olivia was a healthy girl, she had been forced to endure so many unnecessary surgeries and procedures. Lonnie fully believed that, Kelly's lies, had they been discovered sooner, Olivia would be most certainly alive and thriving to this day.
Right.
So red flags had been missed during the visits to the hospital. Despite the fact that Kelly insisted that her daughter was suffering from ongoing seizures, not one single seizure had been witnessed by another. Despite the lack of evidence, doctors treated Olivia based on Kelly's words alone. So throughout Olivia's thousands of visits to the hospital, the idea of Munchausen syndrome by proxy had never once been broached. The hospital eventually settled out of court for an undisclosed amount of money in Lonnie's civil suit. Lonnie has spoken out on the fact that he never wants what happened to his granddaughter to happen to any other child.
Yeah, it's not about the money, but it's just about teaching a lesson. And the only way these a-holes listen is if you hit them with the money.
Right. And he said if anybody spoke up and protected Olivia, she would be here today.
Yeah.
So after reporters went to interview staff from Children's Hospital Colorado, it was revealed that there had been some that were suspicious of Kelly.
But they couldn't stop because they probably weren't doctors. And the doctors are the ones that, were there doctors?
No, there were some doctors.
Okay, because there's somebody involved.
Right. So her death had been entirely preventable, but sadly, no one had stood up against Kelly to advocate or report these things beyond the walls of their, facility. So according to Lonnie, it wasn't until after Olivia died that the hospital staff went on the record telling him that it was their belief that Olivia had not been terminally ill, that her nutrition should have never been taken away, that she should have never been put on hospice care. He was racked with guilt, and he believed what Kelly had told him. Of course he was there in hospice, and he recalls his granddaughter sitting there saying how terribly hungry she was. When Olivia made this complaint, Kelly immediately jumped in and reminded Lonnie that Olivia could only have the melted popsicle juice, that she was not allowed to have any food. And Lonnie was haunted that, he could have given her food, but he withheld it because he didn't know.
Well, she would have just kept him away from her, so.
Right. And he just can't wrap his head around how his granddaughter just slowly starved to death. He can't shake the image of this little precious child opening her eyes and saying, "Papa, I'm hungry."
Oh, God.
I mean, that's friggin' heartbreaking.
Yeah, it sucks.
So a neurologist indicated that they ordered Kelly to stop giving Olivia Keppra, repeatedly insisting that Olivia was not suffering from seizure disorder, but somehow Kelly continued to get this prescription for Keppra.
She kept jumping to the next person,
Right,
the next person.
doctor shopping. So the neurologist also told Kelly that it was their belief that Olivia was not terminally ill. Authorities interviewed other staff members at the hospital, including 2 pediatric gastroenterologists who agreed that Olivia had not been terminally ill. So there were people that were suspicious. It never escalated. So that was the problem.
Yeah.
So despite this belief, no one came forward to advocate and protect the innocent, young, helpless girl from her mother. There was also an occupational therapist who specializes in feeding and eating, who worked with Olivia and indicated that during their sessions, the child, she was able to eat age-appropriate foods with no issues whatsoever.
Because she was healthy.
She showed no signs of distress in terms of eating or digesting. So in the meantime, Olivia also had a procedure because her bladder was no longer functioning properly. So it's like this mother was out of her mind. So now she's bringing up her daughter's bladder, saying that at 7 years old, her daughter still wore a diaper and had no idea how to go to the bathroom. Her IV line for nutrition, like I said, was frequently infected 6 or 7 times, according to Kelly's indictment. So Dr. Thomas Walker, this is a pediatric gastroenterologist, he spoke with police about how Kelly would describe her daughter's symptoms to the staff, yet no one had personally witnessed any of these symptoms, which led them to believe that maybe her symptoms weren't as bad as Kelly was describing them to be. During Olivia's hospitalization, she acted very energetic. She was playful. They showed signs of a healthy child rather than a terminally ill little girl, as Kelly was saying.
Yeah.
It's madness.
Gross.
According to Dr. Walker, he had gotten so concerned about the situation that he reported his suspicions to upper management within the hospital. So then the ethics team got involved, and they basically voted against Dr. Walker and sided with Kelly. And with this, Olivia's care was transferred from Dr. Walker to a different doctor, and this allowed Kelly to go on and obtain this DNR order that then took away Olivia's IV nutrition, and she was allowed to starve to death.
I see why the hospital settled out of court. They're absolutely responsible.
Right? So during their investigation, authorities learned that 2 years before Olivia's death, the young girl had been sent to Boston Children's Hospital. This happened in 2015. They wanted to send her there for a second opinion. So with this, the consulting doctor found that Olivia had undergone multiple feeding tube placements as well as surgery that created this ileostomy pouch. That happened in November of 2014. The physician recommended that her ileostomy be reversed, that she be taken off all of her narcotic medications, because narcotics can cause everything to slow up, and you can get constipation. It could slow your digestion, etc. And he said with this, she should be able to eat and she should be able to live a full and healthy life. So the doctor's reports and recommendations were then shipped on over to Children's Hospital Colorado. But sadly, none of this advice was taken, and they continued to treat this terminally ill child that Kelly claimed her daughter to be.
Double whammy for the hospital.
So in January of 2022, 43-year-old Kelly pleaded guilty to felony child abuse that negligently caused her death, felony theft, and felony charitable fraud. So because she took this plea, other charges, this included 2 counts of first-degree murder, were taken off the table. So had she been found guilty of first-degree murder, this monster could have faced life in prison.
Yeah, which is absolutely what she should be doing. She's a monster.
Oh, you just wait to hear what she's serving.
Awesome.
16 years.
Okay.
16 years in prison. She also received a 13-year sentence that would be served simultaneously alongside her 16-year sentence for the felony theft and fraud charges that she pleaded guilty to.
So it doesn't even matter.
Nothing.
It's simultaneous.
It's 16 years.
Yeah.
So the judge also ordered that Kelly cannot financially benefit from her daughter's death. You know, if anyone approaches her with any kind of book deal, movie deal, etc.
Podcast deal.
Right. She's not going to get any money, and that if she does get any kind of money, it will all be donated to the charities that she defrauded. So when word of Kelly's involvement in Olivia's death had gotten out, the public was obviously outraged by this whole situation, by the fact that the medical community treating this young child, they basically failed her.
Yep.
So for 5 years, Kelly had been abusing her child, and all the while, she was getting away with it in plain sight. Everyone was like, she was the puppet master of this show.
Right.
So those that helped fulfill Olivia's wishes were devastated that the girl had been suffering only at the hands of her mother rather than a true medical diagnosis as they believed it to be, as everybody would. Olivia should have been able to freely live her life as all children are deserve to, instead of undergoing unnecessary surgeries and procedures that kept her in the hospital for many of her short 7 years that she was alive, despite the fact that she had no issues with her digestion whatsoever. And Holland Hoskins, this is the family attorney who represented Olivia's sisters, as well as their grandparents, wanted to prevent something like what happened to Olivia from happening to another innocent child. And with this, they identified more safeguards that need to be implemented to prevent other young patients like Olivia from being subjected to unnecessary surgeries, medications, or procedure from hospital staff. So rather than fully relying on parents such as Kelly Turner Gant, they need to use their expertise to say, no, absolutely not. We are not doing that. There's nothing wrong. I am the doctor and I am telling you I'm not doing the surgery because there's nothing wrong with your daughter.
Well, it sounds like the doctor did that, and then the ethics committee got involved, and they're like, all right, well, we'll move it to a doctor that'll do it.
Could the doctor have contacted the media, authorities? You're obviously risking, your job potentially.
Yeah, and you're like, I don't know. I don't want to get involved because you got other things going on. It's not that he doesn't care, but doctors are so overworked. So,
yeah.
I don't know. It's tough.
But, it takes the medical professionals to raise the flag and say something is not right here.
Yeah.
But that just didn't happen, and that is the sad and tragic death of Olivia Gant.
I think it's safe to say that Kelly Turner, is among the worst mothers that's ever lived on the planet Earth. So congratulations, you suck, you're an idiot, and I hope you die in prison.
Just
Kelly.
Horrible, horrible human being. How you could sit there and watch your child starve to death.
Make your child starve to death. Not even just watch. It's watching and making, you're the one behind it. You're the whole reason. Looking at them sitting there and being happy about this whole thing. Just seeing them die and wither away. It's like, you're a scumbag. Man.
She was sure quick to document the videos of her daughter singing and things like that, because what it boiled down to was she wanted the attention.
Yeah, what a loser, man.
And then as soon as Olivia was gone, then there's where she turns her attention to the next one. How sick. Like
a product just for your own amusement.
Just terrible. But thank you guys so much for being here with us. We appreciate the heck out of you. We would appreciate it so much if you headed on over to Apple Podcasts and maybe left us a 5-star review.
Spotify as well.
And Spotify as well. If you like what you hear, we would appreciate it.
And if you're a Spotify listener, you can go comment in the comment section, or if you're on YouTube, go leave a comment. It helps with all the algorithm stuff. I reply to every single comment that I can find. So
well, you're very sweet, Mike.
Well, sometimes we'll find out. Unless you're mean. Like one person said, oh, this is unnecessary to have the whole story. I'm like, okay, we'll keep moving on.
Just keep on keeping on.
Our community is generally pretty awesome. 99.9%, super awesome, supportive. So thanks for everything.
And even if you don't go over to YouTube and watch, if you wouldn't mind hopping over real quick and just subscribing to our channel, that would be fabulous. But we appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much for being here with us. And until next time, bye.
RingCentral will completely transform the way you work. It gives you built-in AI across all your business conversations. Your phone system has an AI receptionist that answers calls 24/7. Your video meetings have AI that takes notes instantly. Even your contact center has AI, so you can help customers faster. It all comes together in one reliable platform for effortless AI communications. See for yourself at ringcentral.com. RingCentral, voice of your business.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.